Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show. The Brilliance was parked quietly in the evolution factory. The high-end materials of the starfish were put into the keel of the Brilliance for it to swallow and absorb. This pure evolutionary method requires not only a wide variety of materials, but also a terrifying quantity. The increase in volume does not come out of thin air. It requires materials to be stacked. With the integration of massive materials, the Brilliance began to slowly grow in size. This kind of evolution method is very solemn even for Zian. Because of the pure evolutionary method, with his current strength, although he will not fail. After all, the evolutionary simulations these days are not in vain. The 80-year simulations are no joke. But you must be careful and careful. Even the slightest mistake. That is, for example, there is a little less of a certain material, or there is a little more, or the timing of investment is wrong. All may lead to deviations in the final evolution. There is a high probability that it will lead to quality degradation, performance deviation, etc. It was originally supposed to evolve toward rigidity, but what ended up improving was penetration. Can you imagine how outrageous it is that the starship keel improves penetration? This evolution. Zian's design has not changed much in appearance. The main frame still looks the same, but it is much larger. Including the main and secondary guns, they have been super strengthened. The heavy hydrogen atom concentrated energy cannon is more powerful, according to the parameters. When the time comes, you can even tear apart the cruise captain's energy shield easily, very powerful. Time passed slowly. There is no mistake at all in the middle. Finally, on the afternoon of the third day, the keel of the Brilliance has completed its evolution. There is no doubt that must continue to limit the length, width, and height. The maximum length, width, and height data of the destroyer class is length, 899.9 meters, width, 209.9 meters, height, 89.9 meters. With this data, the combat effectiveness of the Brilliance is a huge jump. Let's put it that way. If you encounter a cruiser again now, as long as he is not the kind of top-strong person. Zian even dared to challenge 2 or even 3 cruisers and then blow them up. The difference? Too big. Generally speaking, most people will increase firepower when performing starship evolution. But Zian didn't. Because of the firepower, the brilliant number is completely enough. In addition, in the case of pure evolution, the size of the main and secondary guns will also increase accordingly. With that space, he preferred to use it to load more ammunition. The most valuable thing is quality, not quantity. For example, heavy hydrogen atom-shaped energy cannon. He increased its power to be stronger and fire faster. It can even fire dozens or 20 rounds of heavy hydrogen atom-shaped energy cannons per minute. Just ask who can stop it. This is also the evolutionary direction of the Brilliance in the destroyer era. The keel of the Brilliance has been evolved. Quality translation, purple is unparalleled, and the performance parameters are all based on Zian's own preferences. Completely meets my own requirements. This is the benefit of pure evolution. Evolve whatever you want to evolve. The keel is done, which is equivalent to the framework for numbering. The next thing. It would be much simpler. The Taiku training camp is about to begin with this period of training. It's getting more and more lively. The total number of students who came to participate in the training exceeded 100,000. Yes. 100,000 people. After all. Swire Training Camp. It is the top 3 training camp in the entire human federation of the universe. Extremely expensive. Recruiting students for the human federation across the universe. Not to mention the distance, there are so many people in Jiuxia Shanghai alone. No. If we have to talk about geniuses above the monster level, There are millions, tens of millions, or hundreds of millions of people in Jiuxiao Star Sea alone, not to mention 100,000 people. Because the universe is really too big. The population base is really terrifying. There are so few evil geniuses. In the face of the extremely terrifying population base, it is impossible to be less. Actually calculate it. If you compare the billions of monster-level geniuses with the total population of Jiuxiao Xinghai, the ratio has even reached the level of billions to 1. What is this concept? Billions to trillions to 1, that is, among a population of 100 trillion, there is only such a monster-level heavenly group. Hundreds and trillions, not 1 trillion, but trillions. Calculate it like this. Billions of evil geniuses, are there still many? Are there still too many of these 100,000 evil geniuses in front of us? Not to mention too much, it can be said that it is pitiful. In fact, these are just approximate data. Because Zian doesn't know the specific population. Every moment, someone dies, more people will be born. Perhaps, this data is far beyond what I imagined. Human population base. It's really, really scary. Don't know anything else. It is said that the total population of Jiuxiao Xinghai is based on statistics from 100 million years ago. It exceeded 17 Gurkha units. Google is a unit of quantity. A unit of quantity so terrifying that it makes one's head tingle. And these 100,000 students. Almost all of them are geniuses trained by the top forces. Only they can afford the horrific expenses of the training camp. Among students, a young man is taking various selfies with his big mouth, grinning happily. I also took photos of various buildings, scenery, etc. Then I sent it to Zian. There was a glimmer of triumph in his eyes. At the same time, inside the evolution factory, Zian exhaled heavily. Finally, there were no mistakes. Brilliant number. Successfully evolved to the destroyer level. Looking at the brilliant number in front of me, Zian's face was full of satisfaction. Because the brilliance in front of me is definitely the most powerful destroyer in history. Zian said it. Even if there are destroyers of the same level and quality in the universe, Zian can guarantee that the other parties will never be stronger than his. Don't ask why, it comes from the confidence of having a system. 100% overall purple unparalleled quality. Today. Finally achieved. Horrible quality, terrible performance. Combine it down. It's the terrifying brilliant number. Coupled with his own Star Wars strength. Let's put it that way. I dare not say more. Invincible at the same level, 1% confidence. There is no doubt about this, the reason why it is invincible even if it is not a cruiser. That's because, among cruisers, there are also super geniuses. It is also a 100% overall purple cruiser of unparalleled quality, as long as the opponent's combat effectiveness is not particularly poor. It is almost impossible for Zian to defeat the opponent, the difficulty is too high. But invincible at the same level. This is correct. And all the women. At this time, he was also looking at Zian's brilliant data with various curiosity. I was very envious. The powerful data made them very envious. But it's a pity. When they evolve into destroyers, they will definitely not be 100% purple in comparable quality. It's not that Zian doesn't let them evolve or anything. But they really don't have as much evolution value as Zian. Perhaps. Wait until their starship evolves to the cruiser level, only then can you achieve 100% purple unparalleled quality. In fact, the cruiser level is 100% purple with unparalleled quality. Super match. There may not be many geniuses at the genius level. Only top geniuses, or even geniuses of the peerless genius level, can be equipped with starships of this quality. The only one who uses cheats is Zian. Only in the destroyer era can one have a 100% purple destroyer of unparalleled quality. coupled with his Star Wars strength. Invincible at the same level, what's the problem? There is no problem. Who comes and who dies, and cruisers, as long as they are not pink perfect and above quality. Likewise, who comes and who dies. It's just that powerful. Just at this time, Zian's communicator sounded a series of notification sounds. When I looked up, I couldn't help but smile. Not someone else. It was sent by Lu Tianming. All kinds of selfies are all kinds of showing off. Smile. With a thought in his heart, Zian said to the girls, "I'll take you to a show. Would you like to go take a look?" All the girls are ice snow and smart people. When Zian said this, look at the evil smile on Zian's face. I understood immediately. Hu Qiqi and Qin Fuyue both had smiles on their faces like little bad guys. Qin Fuyue hugged Zian's elbow and said hurriedly, "Then what are you waiting for? Let's go." Not to be outdone, Hu Qiqi hugged Zian's other elbow and said sweetly, "I'm really looking forward to it. What's Lu Tianming's expression when he sees us? Huh, he's still showing off. Let's see how he shows off later." Zian chuckled. He immediately took the girls with him, based on the background picture of Lu Tianming's selfie. "Just go over there." Lu Tianming was happily looking at his optical watch while eating skewers. Zian's side showed that the message had been read, but there was no response. This made Lu Tianming feel very happy. Just feel. Zian's depression, which had always been ranked second in the rodent eradication pioneer plan, finally got a little release. Cool. I was happily eating grilled skewers. Suddenly, Zian's communication number was dialed. Lu Tianming was startled for a moment, then connected the communication with a smile. As soon as the call was connected, he took the lead and said with a smile, "Brother Su, what are you busy with? What took you so long to get back?" "Haha, I just want to tell you that I have arrived at the Taiku training camp. I'm afraid I won't be able to chat with you for a while. Of course, if you miss me, you can come and see me, but you can't seem to come in, ha 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 ha. Ah, by the way, you have to work hard too. The training speed in Taiku training camp is very fast. Don't wait until I come out, you will fall behind me, ha 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 ha." As he spoke, Lu Tianming couldn't help but raise his head and laugh wildly. He suddenly felt something was wrong. Because he found out. My own laughter. Why does it sound double? Why is my own laughter still coming from the communicator? His laughter gradually died down, and he frowned in confusion and asked, "Brother Su? Really?" Just as he shouted, his own voice came through the communicator. What's going on? Could it be that this communicator has some bug? Yes. He would rather wonder if there is a bug in the 483 communicator than think about it. Will Zian be nearby? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. He was able to obtain the list of the outer courtyard of the Taiku training camp, and the Ren family paid a huge price. That price cannot even be measured by money. After all, the top manager in the Taiku training camp, that is, the training camp commander, is even a super strong man at the level of a void ship or above. There are also 2 void ship captains, multiple immortal ship captains, and star destroyer captains serving as instructors. Yes. In the Taiku training camp, the worst instructors are all star destroyer captains. This is still the second hospital. If it's a college, good guys, the worst teacher is the captain of the immortal ship. And the 2 void ship captains will also teach from time to time. In the Taiku training camp, what conditions were inspired? What's more, I can get personal guidance from this super strong person above the void ship level. Such a training camp. Hope it's cheaper. That is impossible. Expensive. Ridiculously expensive. So, those who can enter the Taiku training camp are indeed worthy of showing off. Even if it's just the second house, it's definitely worth showing off. Brother Su? What's the situation over there? Lu Tianming said in the optical brain watch with a forced expression. At this time, he discovered that as he spoke, his voice seemed to become clearer and clearer. Only then did he finally realize something, BBFG. I instantly looked back. The originally triumphant expression suddenly froze on his face. See you. Behind him, Su Zian was looking at him with a smile on his face. Next to Su Zian, Qin Fuyue, Miao Xiaomi, Bai Xiaoyuan, and Hu Qiqi, all covered their lips and smiled softly. They were unparalleled in beauty. Taimei grinned with her bloody mouth open in joy, and her gums and throat could be clearly seen. Lu Tianming expressed a shock. His eyes were wide open, he was stunned for a long time, and he shouted as if he had seen a ghost, "No, you, why are you here?" Lu Tianming was dumbfounded. Su Zian was so funny that he hung up the communication and then said with a smile, "Why are you here?" "It's very simple, because we are also students of this training camp. After all, you said it yourself, you can't get in even if you're not a student in the training camp." Lu Tianming suddenly fell silent. After a while, he gritted his teeth and said, "Have you signed up a long time ago? When we just parted ways from the Golden Mercury star system, you had already signed up?" Lu Tianming asked through gritted teeth. Su Zian clicked the picture calmly. Lu Tianming slapped his forehead suddenly. "So, do you know that we will still meet here 3 months later?" Su Zian continued to nod. Lu Tianming couldn't say it. He didn't want to say anything. Shame on you. Really embarrassed, I had been showing off to Su Zian about the training camp. Because he knew Su Zian's identity and did not have a deep background in the Earth Federation. Normally anyway. The high price of the Taiku training camp is absolutely unaffordable. But I never expected it. Not only Su Zian is here. Even the girls from the Brilliant fleet are here. Able. It shows that it is at least the second hospital. Lu Tianming suddenly cried and said, "No, we can be considered friends after all, right? Isn't it a little too much for you to laugh at me like this?" Su Zian hasn't spoken yet. Bai Xianyao, who had always been obedient and sensible in front of Su Zian, said, "You still said we went too far. You just want to show off in front of Su Zian, but you are even more outrageous." Lu Tianming was speechless. He suddenly had a feeling. His happiness was gone with a pop. Not only is it gone. Jill is so depressed. He shook his head, sighed helplessly, and said, okay, I'm convinced. You haven't signed up yet, have you? Let's go, let's sign up together. Lu Tianming scratched his hair and made up his mind. Later in front of Su Zian. It's better to be honest and stop showing off, and don't try to catch up with other people's growth speed. What the hell? Why pursue this? Now is the only chance to catch up with Su Zian's growth rate. No more. Su Zian smiled and naturally would not refuse. When they come out, they come to sign up. The blow, by the way, was just a blow to Lu Tianming's arrogance. At that moment, a group of people walked to the registration office. Su Zian walked in the front and center. On the right side is Qin Fuyue, holding Su Zian's elbow with her little hand and talking constantly. That youthful and energetic atmosphere is eye-catching. On the left-hand side, Hu Qiqi also hugged Su Zian's left elbow not to be outdone, and would touch Su Zian from time to time with that fluffy fox tail. As we all know, no matter it is the fox tribe, cat tribe, or rabbit tribe, their ears and tails are very sensitive places. It's also very important. To put it simply, Hu Qiqi used her tail to nudge Su Zian's lower back from time to time. It means that Hu Qiqi is seducing Su Zian, represents Hu Qiqi, who has a heart for Su Zian. The unabashed kind. Seeing everyone following behind, Lu Tianming kept rolling his eyes wildly. So, the co-author's aspect of picking up girls was also suppressed by Suan? No. I am also 30 years old this year. He is also a young man. It's time to find a girlfriend too. No. I, Lu Tianming, am looking for 8. No. I'm looking for 18. Must be better than Zian. Moreover, all of my 18 girlfriends, Lu Tianming, must be as beautiful as Zian's girlfriend. As for being more beautiful than Zian's girlfriend? Stop it. Is there any woman more beautiful than them? If scored, it would be 100 points. Then they are the kind of women with a perfect score of 100. So, there is no one more beautiful than them, they are the most beautiful. Hashtag. There are girls as beautiful as them. So, I, Lu Tianming. 18 girlfriends, all of them must be perfect. Suddenly, Lu Tianming seemed to have found his life goal again. The depression that was hit by Zian before suddenly dissipated. At this time, everyone has arrived at one of the thousands of registration office locations. On the left is the registration office of the first hospital. Next to it is the registration office of the second hospital. After Qin Fuyue kissed Zian on the cheek, she and the other girls walked to the right, while Zian walked to the left alone. Lu Tianming is intoxicated with finding 18 girlfriends in the future, beating Zian. Seeing this scene, he suddenly became silent again. The good mood was gone in an instant. So, Zian is so cool. What the hell? Actually, yes. One hospital? Lu Tianming burst into tears. Sign up. In fact, it is to log in with your name, confirm that you are here, and confirm that you will officially participate in the training camp tomorrow. If registration is not confirmed within 3 days, the fee will be refunded. Signing up is easy. Because many people had already registered a few days ago, Zian and their group were considered the last batch, and there was no one else at the registration office. Someone will come to pick you up at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. The staff said, when the time comes, just drive your starship and wait at the starport in area A3. Zian had no objection and nodded to show his understanding. After coming out, Nong and Shitian came after a while. But they are in the second hospital, and Zian is in the first hospital. The gathering place and training place for everyone are not in the same area. But that's okay. After that, there will be overlapping training in the first hospital and the second hospital. Not completely isolated. After a while, Lu Tianming also came out. He still had a bitter look on his face, looking hopeless. Looking at Zian's eyes, I feel as resentful as I want to. Why is Zian the first hospital? Why is he a member of the first academy? Isn't his background very ordinary? Why? Why is this? Lu Tianming was puzzled. Let's go now, see you later. Zian patted Lu Tianming's shoulder in a friendly manner. Lu Tianming pursed his lips at Zian, snorted arrogantly, turned around and left. He decided to ignore Zian for a day. Zian looked very happy. After parting ways with Lu Tianming, he took the girls back to the hotel where they live. Starting from tomorrow, everyone will be involved in intense and dangerous training. Today, I have to take a good rest. Zian returned to the evolution factory. The Brilliance has just evolved into a destroyer class. He still needs to get acquainted with it. For the upcoming training, the overall data of the Brilliant number is naturally the maximum length, width and height. Length, 899.9 meters, width, 209.9 meters, height, 89.9 meters. Such a huge hull can improve the combat effectiveness and defense power more than a little bit. Just like that ordinary armor. With such data of length, width and height, the thickness of ordinary armor alone reaches 9 meters. The thickness of ordinary armor is much stronger than the core armor of the assault ship level. In addition, this is true whether it is the materials used or other aspects. The overall purple quality is 100% unparalleled. The pure purple color at first glance makes people full of confidence. Brilliant, destroyer, purple unparalleled. Overall characteristic 1, overall defense increased by 38%, overall characteristic 2, overall defense increased by 38%, overall characteristic 3, overall damage reduction is reduced by 38%, overall characteristic 4, overall damage reduction is reduced by 38%, overall characteristic 5, overall damage reduction is reduced by 38%, after the overall characteristics of the brilliant purple unparalleled quality are activated. Its terrifying performance made even the creator, Zian, excited. Let's put it that way. The bright number, whether it is now or in the future. In terms of overall characteristics, it is probably mainly focused on increasing defense and reducing damage tolerance. The so-called damage reduction means that the damage suffered is reduced by a corresponding percentage. Superimposed. The overall defense of the Brilliance has increased by a full 74%. The damage taken by the brilliant number was reduced by 114%. This is a pretty scary statistic. After all, you have to know. This is an overall feature. What are overall characteristics? The meaning of overall characteristics is that the entire starship, no matter what parts it is, can add these 5 additional characteristics to its original attributes. For example, Zian's core armor has its own defense increased by 38%. Now add 2 more 38% and the main damage reduction is reduced by 38%. Let's put it that way. A regular cruiser. Not even the Brilliance's defense can be broken. Even when facing a battleship. As long as the other party is not ridiculously powerful. The brilliant number is facing each other, let alone a guaranteed win. But at least. Absolutely not dead. This is the confidence. This is also the biggest benefit brought by spending massive resources and massive evolution values to improve quality, available in higher and higher levels. Continuously possess the ability to kill enemies beyond levels. Can you imagine that one day in the future? The quality of the brilliant number has improved to an extremely terrifying level. At that time, the Brilliance was only a 9,999.9 meter immortal ship. What kind of scene would it be like to face a void ship that is more than 30,000 meters long and be able to kill it easily? Unimaginable. The improvement in quality is so terrifying. Then there's the overall appearance. The overall appearance, apart from the volume, actually doesn't change much. At least the layout of some parts still follows the layout of the assault ship. Because of the exterior design and layout. In fact, Zian thinks it has been done perfectly. While no major parts have been replaced, there is no need to change its appearance. In addition, the volume increases. The area of various types of warehouses has naturally increased a lot. This period. Even if we continue sailing for a year and then experience some small intensity battles, Zian thinks there is no problem. Material reserves, ammunition reserves, and fuel reserves are absolutely sufficient. Even the plant cultivation room. Zian tripled the cube again. It's enough to cultivate more natural and earthly treasures. After all, now Zian uses a lot of Tian Kai Dibao every day, and the girls also use a lot of Tian Kai Dibao every day. The previous planting area was actually a little stretched. But this question. It certainly doesn't exist now. Talking about plant cultivation. Have to say. For Zian now, only the lowest level 3, preferably the 4th level, of heavenly materials and earthly treasures can have the most obvious effect on improving his physique. The 3rd grade is okay. One plant is worth 1,000 wealth. Originally, Zian thought that the number of 4th grade heavenly materials and earthly treasures would increase tenfold, reaching a terrifying 10,000. Request flowers, 0. But he found that it was not that scary. Just doubled. That's just 2,000 wealth values. This also made Zian feel relieved. If there is a 4th grade natural material and earthly treasure, cultivating one plant would require 10,000 wealth points. Then with the current amount of wealth, it is really not possible to cultivate too much. Not to mention, Zian often has to perform evolution simulation, personal battle simulation, and Star Wars simulation. Now, not just an evolutionary simulation. Individual battles and Star Wars simulation. The cost is as high as 10,000 wealth worth once. It's really not that small. Originally worth millions. Now, it has shrunk by 1/3. The consumption is really not small. Perhaps the only thing worth making Zian happy is. For plant cultivation, after the 4th level, it is 2,000, not 10 times. Then the evolution simulation should wait until the 4th grade evolution simulation is turned on. It's no longer the 100,000 that I guessed, but 20,000? If it is like this, that's still bearable. As for personal battle simulation and Star Wars simulation, the wealth value consumption standard still increases with each level. Unlike an evolutionary simulation, the 1st grade is worth 10 wealth. The 2nd level is 100 wealth value. As a result, the 3rd level becomes 10,000 wealth points. Anyway, Zian has never understood the increasing charges for evolutionary simulation. There's no point thinking about it now. After breaking through to the 3rd level evolution value, you can activate the 4th level evolution master. Everything is clear. Early the next morning, Zian set off. Female. Go to their meeting place to assemble. Zian went to Area A to gather alone. It's not a separation of life and death. So even the most clingy Qin Fuyue just hugged Zian, kissed her, and left in a hurry. During this time, all the girls also work extremely hard. Still, all of them were already Tier 10 assault ships half a month ago. Almost another month. They will simultaneously receive the opportunity to evolve into destroyers. The reason for working so hard? Because they know how good it is to join the brilliant fleet. How great it is to hang out with Zian. Not to mention the terrifying improvement Zian brought to them. I'm just talking about the quota for this training camp. They know why they got this spot. It's entirely because they are members of the brilliant fleet. Otherwise, why would a big shot like Mr. Xia give them such precious places? If they don't work hard enough. Not only am I sorry for Zian. I'm sorry, Mr. Xia. If you fall far behind, it will hold back Zian and the brilliant fleet. They themselves were embarrassed to stay any longer. So this training camp, they were all determined to die. You must work hard. Absolutely, absolutely, don't hold Zian back. And Zian. Also fly to Area A10, Zian. Finally, I saw the top group of geniuses in Jiuxia Xinghai. To know. The age limit is very low. But look around and see what you see. Mainly destroyers, a small number of cruisers, and a very small number of assault ships. People like Zian belong to the middle level. Not the lowest, but not too high either. To know. In Chongyue Star Territory and Yaohua Star Territory, destroyer captains at Zian's age are definitely among the best. Can be placed in the entire Jiuxia Xinghai. At least in terms of starship level, it does not have any advantage. Actually, it's not that Zian evolves slowly. In fact, including all the girls. If you don't talk about far away, let's talk about Qin Fuyue. She awakened and became a biological captain several years earlier than Zian. Not to mention, Zian's starship was blown up once during the process. And Zian's bioenergy is twice that of others. These people in front of me. Almost everyone awakened before the age of 18. The youngest, even 10 years old, for 6-7 awakened as a biological captain at the age of 9 and was bound to a biological starship. After so many years, coupled with the efforts of the forces behind them to cultivate them, as well as their own talents. So becoming a cruiser captain. Not surprising. Do we really want to give Zian equal time? Oops. Now that he is below the level of battleship captain, Zian can just kill himself with a knife. If he awakens at the same age as Qin Fuyue, he's definitely a cruiser captain now. FFLX. It's really not that Zian's breakthrough speed is slow. Not slow at all. And in the future, even double the bioenergy. His breakthrough speed will only be faster than others. But that's what it says. Zian still felt a little bit of pressure. Under normal circumstances, it is because of continuous breakthroughs in physical fitness. He was actually confident that he would be able to break through to the rank of cruiser captain within a year, if I hadn't come to this training camp. Zian is already preparing to adopt the same method as the other girls. Soak in the juice of heavenly materials and earthly treasures. The difference is that the girls are taking a bath to increase their cultivation speed. What he took was to temper his body. Maybe after training here. Breakthrough speed, can it be faster? Then add the Tiankai Dibao juice. It is really not impossible to break through to the level of cruiser captain in less than a year. Cruiser captain. This is the real beginning. Under the cruiser, everything is just laying the foundation stone. Just like in Xianxia novels, under the cruiser, there is a qi refining period, a body refining period, and so on. The cruiser is the real foundation building stage and the real immortal cultivator. That's probably what it means. Attention everyone. I am your teacher Changteng, you can call me Teacher Chang. Now I will take you to your future training area. I will explain the rules of our training camp to you later. Remember to listen carefully. Don't ask questions. If you don't understand anything, just understand it yourself. Okay, everyone, follow me. The route has been sent to your star crystal light brain. Remember, the first rule, don't run around. At 9 o'clock in the morning at the unified time of the Universal Human Federation, an indifferent man's voice sounded in everyone's communicator. Everyone immediately listened attentively. As Changting finished speaking, a route was immediately accepted. Immediately afterwards, a star destroyer appeared at some point and began to lead the way. Everyone hurriedly followed. Changting's voice continued to ring in the communicator. The second rule, you must listen to the teacher. The third rule, no private fighting is allowed. Just these 3 rules, don't ask about the rest, you will know them naturally later. After saying this, the other party fell silent without any more words. No one asked. Because we all know. Come to this training camp, and you have a quota in the first hospital. How hard one it is. No one will challenge the rules of the training camp at will. There was silence all the way. Soon, Changting took everyone to a huge planet. According to the star crystal light brain display, this planet is called Tingfei Star. This planet is a gaseous planet. There is no land. So this place, naturally, is the floating city. And the floating city is very large. And there are large public areas. Anyway, if you want to live here, it seems that you will prepare a star shuttle. For normal travel, a starship is definitely not as convenient as a star shuttle. Soon, Changting took everyone to a certain building complex in the floating city. View from above. I found that this floating city has a huge area, but there are very few buildings. There are few buildings, but that does not mean it is small. Some buildings cover an area of 10,000 square kilometers. If placed on Earth, that is a behemoth that is so huge that it is unimaginable. After all, you have to know. In ancient times, the Earth had many cities, but it only had this area. This is 10,000 square kilometers. The Xia dynasty in ancient times had a land area of only 9.6 million square kilometers. And that's just the size of one building. This area is your residential area. The house information has been entered for your rooms. Now, you can find your own house, live there, and wait for the next order. Finished. Changting left directly. Only a large group of students were left looking at each other. But no one said anything. Because most of the students present do not know each other. Naturally, there is nothing to say. And Zian also looked at his message. His house is house number 888. To be honest, this number is quite auspicious. Of course, it's just the room numbers that are auspicious, the house here. They all look the same. Adieu. Driving the Brilliance, he flew towards the direction of his room. This residential building complex is really big. Each house is very large in area and has complete facilities. There is a huge landing pad, a large evolution factory, a large maintenance factory, and so on. All in all. And every residential area has an artificial lake. Let's put it that way. A residential area is even equivalent to the area of a village. As for the living environment, training camp is definitely the highest treatment. Zian's house number 888 has a huge artificial lake in the front yard. Behind, there are various facilities and docking areas. Zian expressed his satisfaction. Stop the starship. Just walk out. Although it is a floating city on a gaseous planet. But the life support system and gravity support system are naturally indispensable. Nothing missing. Therefore, there is no need to wear a space armor helmet, you can move and breathe at will, and the air is very fresh. Take a deep breath, and you will be greeted by the fragrant smell of soil and vegetation, which is refreshing. Then, Zian began to look at his house. The residential villa itself is not large. The decoration and size are almost the same as the houses on my own island. The most important thing is that the various facilities are really complete. There are even a few robot nannies. It's no problem to do laundry, cook, or even do some things you want to do. 2.8, of course. Zian definitely has no interest at all, although these female robot nannies may not have been done by those before. Even if it has been done, its self-cleaning function is absolutely perfect. But how could Zian have any interest in a robot? No matter how realistic and beautiful this robot is, it still has no interest at all. After a round of inspection, very satisfied, but nothing particularly worth mentioning. Just a normal residential area. It's clear when you think about it. What training camp is really like. It should be next. Now, the true horror of training camp is yet to be seen. At this time, the optical brain watch suddenly rang. Open it and take a look. Apparently it was sent from the training camp. There are all the rules of the training camp. What? Real training program at this stage. There's nothing nice about rules. Mainly the training plan. Just a quick glance. Zian's eyes lit up immediately. Each training plan is different. This is to prevent others from following the same training plan, or students knowing and preparing in advance, which will greatly affect the training effect. So it doesn't matter whether you follow or not. Ordinary forces cannot imitate him at all. The most important thing is that it will affect the training effect. And this training plan. Generally speaking, it is divided into two parts. A part. It's the ultimate level of madness. Part 2. It is death hell. Just by hearing the names of these two training plans, you know that they will never be comfortable. In fact, after reading the plan content in detail, Zian believes that the name of this plan is even a bit too conservative. Part 1 training plan. Nothing else. Just practice. Practice like crazy. How to practice? Sparring with those instructors. Practice until you pass the test. Arrow. Star Wars. You don't think it's a sparring session with students, do you? No. Not at all. In terms of training camp, instructors will be arranged to provide one-on-one training for you. Of course, a teacher will lead many students. If a teacher really leads one student. If there are 100,000 students, don't we also need 100,000 teachers? You know, these instructors are at least Star Destroyer captains. How is that possible? And how to train? Said it was sparring. To put it bluntly, it's actually the kind of person who tortures you, beats you violently, and beats you until you can't take care of yourself. 11. Combined with Zian's strength, level, talent, and some of Zian's previous combat videos provided to the training camp by the master, in terms of training camp, A senior Star Destroyer captain level instructor was directly assigned to Zian. Then Zian drove the starship and fought with the opponent. The other party will definitely not show mercy. It's the kind of real fight. Did it cripple your starship? It's okay, the training camp will have the most professional starship repairmen to repair your starship. In one day at most, you can participate in the next Star Wars. Then fighting with the teacher does not count. When you fight with the instructor, there will be a dedicated immortal ship captain, paying full attention to you. After waiting, the captain of the immortal ship will tell you in the most detail, where you went wrong and what you should do. Under what circumstances will this training be considered over? Also simple. You caused 1/10,000th of the battle damage to the opponent's starship. For a perfect score of 100 points, as long as the instructor's starship suffers 1/10,000th of the battle damage, you will be considered to have passed. Then you can start the next step of training. To know. Zian is only a first-tier destroyer. The opponent is a really high-end Star Destroyer. There are 3 major classes in the middle: cruiser, battleship, and deep space ship. 1/10,000th of the battle damage? Not to mention the special 1/10,000th battle loss. I'm afraid you were killed before the fight even started. One can imagine. How difficult is it to reach the passing mark? No wonder, every student who graduates from this training camp will make rapid progress. Stop making trouble, you can't make rapid progress under such circumstances. That's really a pig. The captain of the Star Destroyer battles the whole process, and the captain of the immortal ships guides the whole process. Even if you are a fool, after being trained like this, at least in Star Wars, no matter how stupid you are, you will become extremely powerful. But it's just for other people. To Zian, $313. Perhaps it's of no use? The reason Zian's eyes lit up was because he discovered how this training method looked so familiar. Isn't this a simulated world of the system? Whether it's a war or a Star War, aren't they the same? Moreover, the system can be resurrected unlimited times, making it the most realistic battlefield. And after the completion, the system will also give the most detailed guidance. Isn't the systematic approach more awesome? Zian was speechless. So, this training is actually of no use to you? What a waste of such a precious spot. No. No. Zian suddenly focused his eyes. A question suddenly occurred to him. Yes, the simulation of the system is indeed more realistic, that's right. No, it's not more real, it's the battlefield. He is the kind who can really feel death. But the opponent simulated by the system uses my current destroyer captain as an example. The simulated opponent, the strongest and strongest, is only at the battleship level. It is absolutely impossible to say that there is an opponent larger than a battleship. And what about in training camp? Forget about battleships. There are no deep space ships. A direct opponent of the Star Destroyer, damn, it's an advanced Star Destroyer. Hashtag. But it's big. Can Star Destroyer opponents and battleship opponents bring the same pressure to themselves? Totally different. So, you will definitely be able to inspire your higher potential. The system can bring you the most realistic battlefield experience. Training camp can bring even more terrifying pressure to yourself. And if we say, what about combining the two? Experience the most realistic battlefield experience while immersing yourself in Star Wars simulation. Take what you learned from the Star Destroyer captain in training camp and apply it to the Star Wars simulation. Is my improvement faster? Then, what was improved in the Star Wars simulation was applied to the training camp and the battle between the Star Destroyer captains. Will we be able to understand more things? More than just Star Wars. The same goes for individual battles. Calculate it like this. Combine two. There is no use for it, it is clearly a chance to truly take off. Just like the name of this planet. Take off. Thinking of this, Anne's eyes suddenly brightened. Besides, In both Star Wars and individual battles, Star Destroyer-level captains, that is, War Emperor-level warriors, are the only opponents. Cultivation is different too. Cultivation will directly activate the high-gravity system, and then lock you in a sealed space. In the space, there will be a large amount of gas mixed with heavenly materials and earthly treasures that improve your cultivation and physique for you to absorb. And what you have to do is to practice and exercise like crazy in it. It's not enough if you don't practice, because every time you stop, gravity increases by 1 until you die, or until the instructor thinks your training star has been reached. Otherwise, you will face only 3 results: 1. Done. 2. Exit. 3. Death. Cultivation under such pressure, coupled with a large amount of talent, will fill your body. If cultivation is not fast enough, that can only be said to be your own fault. Wait till you see all this. Zian finally understood. Why are the students who graduated from this training camp so talented and powerful? Under such training, a mediocre person will either be forced to death or become a genius. The first part of training content. It's Star Wars, individual battles, and training, all of which have reached the passing mark. Once you reach the passing mark, you can start the second part. Death Hell, training content. The training content of the second part is not displayed now. Obviously. The training content of the second part will be displayed only after you complete the first part of training. But just the first part 480 is enough to make people feel numb. Let alone part 2. But Zian was only excited. What the hell? The last thing he fears is pressure, okay? The fear is that there is no pressure. He is really afraid of pressure, and he can do Star Wars simulations and personal battle simulations every day. I don't know how many times I died every time. System simulation. Still uninterrupted. Training camp. I will also work harder. Under double superposition. When the evolution value is sufficient. If you still can't break through, then Zian should unbind the system himself, because he is not worthy. Speaking of evolution value. Training camp, there is another benefit. Wait until your creature energy reaches full value. Training camp will provide you with evolution points. How much evolution value you want will depend on your performance and how you will be treated. The better your grades, the higher your salary. Naturally, the more evolution points you can get. As for how to provide it? Zian doesn't know. Speaking of treatment. The treatment of the training camp determines the training benefits and resources you can enjoy. At the beginning, regardless of talent and strength, everyone is treated the same. All are 1-star treatment. In subsequent training, depending on your performance, you will be given 2-star, 3-star, or even 4-star treatment. The training camp treatment is 5 stars in total. The highest 5 stars. It is said, ever since the Taiku Galaxy training camp existed, no one has ever gotten it. The highest one is only 4.5 stars. See here. Zian immediately made up his mind. I dare not think about it. Set a small goal first. Let's get a 4.5-star treatment first. The various outrageous benefits and benefits of 4.5 stars made Zian's eyes turn green. Must win. If you're enjoying my content, please consider donating a coffee. Or checking out my shirts on TeePublic. After finishing the feast, cooked by the robot nanny. Early the next morning, Zian drove the Bentley Star Shuttle he just bought yesterday to the training ground. Buy a Bentley Star Shuttle. Very simple. Cheap enough. The top-end version only costs 100,000 yuan. Although Zian currently has tens of billions in cash in his bank account, things like the Star Shuttle can only be used for daily transportation. It is enough to use within the star system, and you can drive a starship to go no matter how far away it is. There is absolutely no need to buy a Star Shuttle worth millions or tens of millions. What can you do with that kind of money? Besides, a star shuttle worth 100,000 yuan is not bad either. The industrial level of the cosmic interstellar era is only reflected in the materials used and the technology it carries. For example, extremely precious metals, or even treasures from heaven and earth. Or a cutting-edge star shuttle engine, or something like that. There can be no differences in production technology, etc. Anyway, it's very comfortable when you sit in it, driving the Bentley Star Shuttle, head to the training area. According to training guidelines, each person will be assigned a corresponding instructor today. The subsequent training plan is determined by the instructor. The training ground is a huge square. This square is so big that it covers more than 200,000 square kilometers. It's enough for casual starship battles, personal battles, etc. Different training areas are also divided. When we arrived at the gathering place, tens of thousands of students were already waiting here. Zian's arrival did not attract anyone's attention. Here, no one knows him Zian. Naturally, Zian would not know these people. After getting off the shuttle and letting the shuttle automatically find a parking location, Zian casually found a corner to stand, quietly waiting for the arrival of the teachers. Not long after, the remaining students arrived, and Zian was also surrounded by people. His eyes just glanced at Zian, not paying attention to him. About 10 minutes later, a group of people flew directly into the sky. Yes. Come flying in the sky, biological warrior. At the Battle King level. That is, at the level of cruiser captain. It can already be vacated briefly. And teachers like these. The lowest are War Emperor level experts, and even Immortal level and Void level experts. Take flight. It's a piece of cake for them. There is no need to use the Star Shuttle at all. Even space armor isn't really needed anymore. As soon as the teachers arrived, the majestic and terrifying aura on his body was not covered up at all, and Gaia was everywhere. The terrifying pressure suddenly changed everyone's expressions. Many assault ship-level combat division captains staggered and clenched their teeth before they managed to stand firm. Momentum is an indescribable aura and magnetic field. You can't see it clearly, but it's real. It's like an ordinary person meeting his idol or a top big shot. Most ordinary people will appear very nervous when talking to the other party, and even speak awkwardly and stammer. In fact, this is due to being affected by the opponent's momentum, not entirely due to excitement and nervousness. In this era, the emergence of biological warriors has brought this aura to the extreme. For example, Zian. With his aura fully activated, he will definitely be very powerful. Because his aura is all about killing, killing, killing. In the Star Wars simulation, he himself died countless times. I have also killed countless enemies. He truly came out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. For ordinary people of the same age and level, their combat effectiveness will be greatly affected by his momentum. That's why, under the pressure of so many teachers, even those students at the cruiser captain level were greatly affected. But Zian was calm and composed. Of course, the reason is that the pressure from these teachers is not directed at him alone. Even so, Zian's calm appearance still attracted a few sharp eyes to stay on Zian. He took a deep look at Zian and then withdrew his gaze. First, he gave the students a warning. Soon, a man with a strong back and a bearded face said in a loud voice, "I am the deputy battalion commander of the Taiku Galaxy training camp, fighting on the side." Bien Zhan's voice spread throughout the audience. "You can call me Deputy Battalion Commander Bien, or you can call me Instructor Bien, whatever. No more nonsense. I believe everyone has seen our training camp rules, training plans, and treatment. Yes. There is never fairness in this world. If you are strong, then you deserve to enjoy higher and better treatment. But from the beginning, the treatment is the same. And this treatment is not determined based on your level, but based on your talent and your strength. As long as you are strong enough and talented enough, even if you are just the captain of an assault ship, you can still enjoy the highest treatment. Let's talk about the treatment that everyone is most concerned about first. When Bian said this, as expected, everyone stared at him with sharp eyes, waiting for his next words. A smile appeared on Bian indifferent face, and he said loudly, "The treatment is divided into 5 stars. 1 star, that is your current treatment, which is the most normal treatment. You will be guided by 1 instructor at the same time as 20 students. At the same time, once every month, you will be given high-intensity physical training and cultivation improvement. In addition, after the biological energy reaches full value, you will be given the minimum breakthrough evolution value. 2 stars. You will join a class of 10, which is a teacher who will only teach you 10 people. Every month, there will be 2 high-intensity physical training and cultivation improvements. If the creature is at full value, the evolution value given will be more. 3 stars. This treatment is basically the treatment given to the strongest students in each training camp. You will enter a 5-person class, and there will be higher-level instructors to coach you throughout the process. Every month, there will be 4 times of high-intensity physical training and cultivation improvement. The biological energy is at full value, and the evolution value will be a lot. 4 stars. There are very few people who can enjoy this treatment. Sometimes, after more than 10 training camps, no one can come out. At that time, we will enter the double class. The void ship captain will tutor and train you. Every month, you can enjoy 8 times of high-intensity physical training and improvement. The biological energy is at full value, and the evolution value given will definitely satisfy you. After 4 stars, there is another 4.5 stars. Only 1 person has received the 4.5 star treatment since the establishment of our training camp. And for this treatment, there will be a void ship captain, that is, the training camp includes me, and there is another deputy battalion commander who will specialize in one-on-one teaching and training for you. Every month, you can enjoy 15 times of high-intensity physical training and improvement. The creature can reach full value, and the evolution value given is many. As for the highest 5-star treatment, never showed up. But, as long as you reach this level of treatment, it means the commander of our training camp will personally teach and train you. I devote myself to you. Every month, you can enjoy high-intensity physical training and improvement every day. The biological energy is at full value, and the evolution value given is massive. Plus, there are even more benefits. In short, the higher the salary you get, the faster you grow. Bian finished in one breath. The scene was already filled with pairs of eyes as bright as searchlights. Okay. Even Zian's eyes were shining brightly. This treatment. To be honest, it is really too strong. The training camp director devotes himself to one-to-one teaching and training. How great this will be for your future improvement. To know. The commander of the training camp, that is the existence on the void ship. The majestic starship captain. Yes. Longitudinal starship. What is a vertical starship? Across the starry sky, invincible. It's for invincibility. To be able to get the wholehearted guidance from such a super strong person. Unimaginable benefits that can be obtained. Improve yourself. How big and terrifying will it be? But 5-star treatment. It's too difficult. Even Zian doesn't have full confidence. But 4.5 stars. Whatever you say must be fake. Don't say anything else. It only means that you can get dedicated one-on-one guidance and training from a void ship captain. That is definitely earned with blood. Anyway. Small goal is to get a 4.5 star treatment. Then get a 5-star treatment, after the students digested his words. Bian continued, I want to improve my salary. It will be decided based on the scores you give in subsequent training. A total of 100 points. If you pass 60 points, you will receive 2-star treatment. 70 points are good, and you will get 3-star treatment. 80% excellent, you will receive 4-star treatment. 90% excellence, you will receive 4.5 stars. As long as you reach 91 points, you will receive 5-star treatment. Are you curious? If you have 100 points, why can you get 5-star treatment with 91 points? Haha. That's because scores of 95 and above only exist in concepts. It's almost impossible to get a score of 95 or above. Only when all your training items reach this score. You will receive the legendary treatment beyond 5 stars. Would you like to know what the treatment beyond 5-star is? It doesn't matter, I can tell you. Treatment beyond 5-star is not 6-star, but superstar. Superstar treatment means the entire training camp during your training. At your service every step of the way. Yes. You heard that right. It's the entire training camp, not just the battalion commander, deputy battalion commander, instructors, but even the other students. I will serve you all the way. Expand all resources to help you take off. Of course. 720, since it is a legendary treatment, it is limited to legends. Because, it's impossible for anyone to be able to complete this treatment. 4.5 stars is your limit, all 5 stars exist in legends. So, let's consider whether it can reach 4.5 stars. Superstar. Just don't think about it. Bien Jean finished in one breath. Everyone was silent. EXXX. 100% doesn't seem like a lot. But since the training camp can set such a score, and only one person in the past has reached 90 points, that is 4.5 stars. Remaining people, most of them are just a good split of 10 points. Samsung treatment. Only a very small number of people, more than 10 or 20 years old, can achieve an excellent score of 80%. One can imagine. This score is rated. Must be very, very, very hard to get. At this time, Bien Jean continued, the treatment is over. Next, let's talk about the training plan. The training plans are divided into 3 major categories. Star Wars, individual battles, training. The specific training content will be arranged by your instructors who will be assigned later. Oh, right. Even if you get 2-star treatment, you need to score in 3 subjects, and you need to meet the corresponding scores in all of them. It is not enough to achieve the score in just one subject. So, work hard. But don't worry. In the past, there were not none who graduated with 1-star treatment, and there were even many. The vast majority of people only received passing scores in 3 subjects when they graduated. Even so, when you graduate, your Star Wars, personal battles, and cultivation will also make a leap forward. Of course, the premise is that you work hard on your own. If you fail yourself, then you can't help anyone. That's it for now, let's start dividing the classes. Class assignment will be done randomly based on your teacher level. Okay, let's start now. Bien Jean's voice just finished. Everyone's optical brain watches began to make noises. Everyone raised their optical brain watches to check. A link appeared on the optical brain watch. After clicking in, you will have the option of randomly assigning teachers. Zian's talent, level, and strength are all combined. His assigned instructor was the senior Star Destroyer captain. In addition, the class I am in is also a class of 20 people. But at the beginning, everyone was in a class of 20. Want to enter a 10-person class, a 5-person class, a 2-person class, or even a single-person class? Then just work hard and improve your salary. Because Zian's talent and so on are not bad. Therefore, in his class, including the destroyer captain and him, there were only 5 people. 15 remain. All are cruiser captains. It also shows from the side that Zian's strength is not the highest among these people, but his talent is definitely in the first echelon. Otherwise, he would not be placed in the same class as these cruiser captain trainees. Classes are randomly matched and they are class 26. Then there is the random matching of teachers. Just a few seconds. The name of their class 26 teacher appeared. What surprised Zian was. The instructor they were matched with was none other than the Star Destroyer captain who led them yesterday. Chongting, a man with an indifferent attitude, BBBB. Zian shook his head and smiled without thinking much. No matter who the teacher is. Anyway, the teaching quality should be about the same. After all, teachers who can be hired by Taiku Galaxy Training Camp. In terms of strength and teaching, there shouldn't be much difference. After all, fame is here. The past results of the training camp are also listed here. Not bad. Class and faculty matching is complete. After that, everyone was automatically pulled into the class group of Class 26 of the training camp. As soon as they came in, some socially awkward students immediately started sending messages. Zhou Feiming, hello, Teacher Cheng. I am Zhou Feiming, please excuse me now, Teacher Cheng. Lu Nini, hello, Teacher Cheng. I've met Teacher Cheng. Hee. Qian Ran, I didn't expect that I would be so destined to be a regular teacher student, what a fate. Wu Sini, wow. I was actually assigned to the regular teachers class, it's so exciting. In the class group, each of these classmates began to send messages to please Chongting. Those who sent the message were all cruiser captains. None of the destroyer captains spoke. After all, there is a level gap here. Zian simply didn't want to talk. To please or something. How could he possibly do it? Why, you've already paid the money, teaching me is what you should do, why don't you still have to please me? Or is it because you are flattering and they can teach you more things? Or can you say it's just to please, so that people can give you a better score so that you can get a higher score? Give me a break, since everyone is learning the same thing and they can't give you any preferential treatment, then Zian won't flatter you with a shameful face. Unless there are benefits. And this benefit must be great. After all, Baron Su is now worth tens of billions. He is no longer the person who could make a move for tens of thousands of dollars. Want face? Chongting, well, there is no need to say more. Chongting, let me talk about my rules first. Chongting, you can choose to come to my class, or you can choose not to come. Chongting, whether you want to learn or not is your business, but I will treat everyone equally regardless of what you teach. Chongting, also, training will start in an hour. Chongting, this is the first training, so the main thing is to see your strength, potential, talent, etc. Chongting, so, we will gather in area D9C8F7 in an hour. Chongting, okay, that's it. Finished. Chongting disappeared. He didn't say another word in the group. He even turned a blind eye to the flattery of these students. It's normal to think about it. After all, I have been a teacher for so many years. What students haven't seen this before? To please? Flatter? I've seen everyone who calls him daddy. I've even seen female students try to seduce him as soon as he gets here. Duh. Now this is bullshit, don't be moved at all. After saying these words, the prisoner ran away directly. The group suddenly became quiet. Zian smiled. Ignoring it, he drove the Star Shuttle directly back to his home. After that, he drove the Brilliant and flew to the D9C8F7 training area on the map. A huge training ground. 3 large training areas are distributed. And these large training areas also have many small training areas. It is mainly an area set up so that students can find a place. In fact, they are all visible at a glance. Follow the map directions. About 40 minutes later, Zian arrived at the D9C8F7 training area. And I finally saw class 26 and 19 other classmates. Among these classmates, Zian actually saw 2 starships with extreme length, width, and height. In fact, the farther back this starship goes, the smaller its maximum length, width, and height are. In the later stage, you can also keep your starship at the maximum length, width, and height. That's definitely the kind of top-level evildoer who is going up. Therefore, Zian, a destroyer with extreme length, width, and height, appeared. It didn't arouse their curiosity. Haha, this brother should be Zian, right? Just as he got off the starship, a hearty voice suddenly sounded. He looked up and saw that the person speaking was a tall and handsome young man. The young man smiled and said, "My name is Zhou Feiming, captain of an intermediate cruiser. Let's get to know each other, brothers." Zhou Feiming said enthusiastically. There is no reason to look down on Zian just because he is a destroyer captain. To know. Although they are cruiser captains. But Zian and others can be in the same class as destroyer captains, which is enough to show that the only difference between them is their level, not his talent and strength. Oh, this strength refers to their current level. Rather than saying that the destroyer can fight their cruiser. That is to say, when they are in the cruiser, there is a 90% probability that they will be as powerful as them. In this situation, naturally, it is impossible to look down on Zian and the others. Those who can enter the training camp are all evildoers. No one is much worse than anyone else. Zian smiled at him and nodded. "Hello, I am the junior destroyer captain, Zian." The voice fell. A woman with a good figure also smiled and introduced herself. "Hello, classmate Zian, I am Lu Nini, junior cruiser captain." Then one by one, the classmates began to introduce themselves. In training camp, because the treatment and resources are all obtained based on one's own efforts, strength, and talent. Therefore, in fact, there is no competition for interests among everyone. Without competing interests, the Qi Garden will naturally be very harmonious. Actually, from the existence of the training camp to the present, conflicts between students have actually been relatively rare. Zian also prefers this kind of atmosphere. After all, no one likes to be around jealous idiots, right? Aero, Chang Xiaokong, and a group of classmates from Huqing No. 3 Middle School. Seriously. Until now, I can only say that those students from Huqing No. 3 Middle School are really idiots. Now, Zian is already a destroyer captain, and the future will be infinitely bright. And now among those classmates, the strongest seems to be just the captain of a high-level reconnaissance ship, both sides. He has long ceased to belong to the same world. Especially when Zian's name spread throughout the Earth Federation. Will they really not regret it until their intestines turn green every time they see it? Don't say anything else. Not to mention having a good relationship with Zian. With Zian's current status in the Earth Federation, nothing else. As long as Zian says hello casually, students who have a good relationship with Zian will receive preferential treatment no matter which industry they enter in the future, right? So, all I can say is, the vision of those students determines their lifelong achievements. After getting to know these classmates, we had a small chat. A familiar star destroyer, Fu Ai, flew over. Everyone immediately fell silent. Soon, the star destroyer found an open space and stopped, and a tall, thin man walked out of the star destroyer. Officially Chongting. Sure enough, it was the same as his voice. Chongting is a person without a smile on his face. He always has a serious face. It was as if someone owed him a few nanometer clusters. Seeing him like this, everyone stood still. The most active people who wanted to come forward to say hello, such as Zhou Feiming and Lu Nini, all stood there and waited for Chongting to speak. Chongting glanced at everyone and said in a cold voice, "I am Chongting, your current teacher. The reason why I am the current teacher is that I have certain expectations for you. Because as long as you reach 3-star status, you will be trained by more senior instructors. I will be your teacher during the 1-star and 2-star treatment stages." After a pause, Chongting said again, "Oh, there is one more thing I haven't told you. Our training camp also has an elimination mechanism. For example, if you don't get a passing grade within a month, then I'm sorry. Those who have achieved it will continue to stay in Class 26. Class 26 will be automatically reduced to a class of 10 people. Students who fail to achieve the goal will be eliminated from the fixed 20-person class. When you reach 2-star status, When can you be promoted? Chongting's words made everyone feel awe-inspiring. Even Zian knows it. A senior Star Destroyer captain like Chongting will definitely lead a 10-man squad in the end. Leading a class of 20 people now is only temporary. And this time is 1 month. Only those junior Star Destroyer captains will lead a squad of 20 people on a regular basis. Those who did not reach the passing mark will take the initiative to serve as a teacher in those classes of 20 people. A junior Star Destroyer captain, a mid-level, or senior Star Destroyer captain. It seems that the difference is not big. But no. People like Chongting have also taught in training camps for many years. Asking for flowers. Richer teaching experience. Therefore, it is definitely best to be in Chongting's class. Of course. 5-person classes, 2-person classes, or even single-person classes are better. Zian felt nothing. Because a class of 10 is not his goal at all. The 4.5-star reward is his goal. Plus AFE. Wherever. If you can't even achieve this, then don't think about it anymore. Now that you are all familiar with it, I won't talk nonsense. Chongting said solemnly, next, I will conduct a detailed assessment and training on your strength. My training is simple. Today, we will first conduct training evaluation and training. Let me see if you geniuses are worthy of the title of genius. It's an assessment, it's also a training. Now, everyone, follow me first. Finished. Chongting turned around directly. Leading the way, he walked toward a building in the distance. This kind of building. There are quite a few in the area in front of you. And this building, needless to say. It must be a building that increases the speed of cultivation. The building is not small, and there are rooms inside. Looking around, there are already students training inside. Training methods. It is the most orthodox way of cultivation and improvement. Exercise. All kinds of squeezing physical strength, stimulating potential and stimulating bioenergy. Then, the room will be filled with a large amount of gas mixed with heavenly materials and earthly treasures, allowing students to absorb it while practicing, thereby tempering their bodies and accelerating the growth of biological energy. This method of cultivation is also one of the fastest and most effective methods in the universe. There are no formulas, exercises, or anything like that. It is the purest form of squeezing your own body. Through the glass, you can clearly see the students inside, with sweat rolling down their bodies like rain. Holding a barbell of unknown weight, he gritted his teeth and performed deep squats. It's easy to tell from the bulging veins on his arms and neck that it must have been very, very strenuous. Soon, Chongting took Zian and others to the door of a free training room. Chongting said calmly, next, what you have to do is very simple. I will use all means to squeeze the limit of your potential. I'm not going to tell you how far you have to go, because your current performance also determines your rating and treatment. Now, it's time to begin. Which of you comes first? Chongting just finished speaking. Zhou Feimei was the first to shout loudly, I'm coming. Finished. Without hesitation and with a firm gaze. Walked towards the training room. To do it, Zhou Feimei walked into the practice room. Double gravity turns on immediately. The basic gravity is doubled. If you want to increase it, just increase it yourself. Gravity is mainly to squeeze out more potential. Under double gravity, Zhou Feimei tried the 2,000 kilogram barbell that he usually could easily do. As a result, I just moved it a little and didn't lift it up. I tried another 1,500 kilograms, but it was still too heavy. Finally, carrying 1,000 kilograms of barbell, I started squat training. The moment of squatting and standing up, the veins in his neck burst out. Thanks to him being a warrior at the king level, his physical fitness far exceeded that of ordinary people. Otherwise, an ordinary person would have suffered a cerebral hemorrhage if he squeezed his strength to this extent. Just 5 squats. Zhou Feimei was already sweating profusely, but still gritted his teeth and persisted. A large amount of precious mixed gases from heaven, materials, and earthly treasures filled the room, and were constantly absorbed by him actively or passively, strengthening his body and stimulating the rapid growth of his creatures. Living things can be cultivated. That's it. Simple, direct and brutal. Not so many twists and turns. Things like meditation don't exist at all. 320. Living things can be cultivated. To be honest, it is to continuously stimulate people's potential, and after the potential reaches a bottleneck, then use the feedback of the biological starship to break through this bottleneck. Then step by step, reach the peak and reach eternal life. While practicing, he relied on a large number of heavenly materials and earthly treasures to absorb and temper. This method of cultivation is actually the best. It will increase the cultivation speed by more than 10 times on the original basis. The reason why Zian and the others have not adopted such a cultivation method before. The main reason is that this Tian Kai Dibao spray gas requires a formula. It's not just a matter of mixing natural materials and earthly treasures together. It's like starship evolution. Different types of metal materials are randomly put together to evolve, and the final evolved effect. The collision and fusion between different substances will not be very effective without a suitable formula. Definitely not satisfactory. Only with a specialized formula can good absorption effects be achieved. If natural materials and earthly treasures are put together at will to form a spray gas, it may not be a good medicine in the end, but poison. The formula is extremely important. Zian doesn't have it, even Zian has been looking for this formula. But unfortunately, there really isn't. It is in the treasure house of the Universal Human Federation. But it takes millions of military merits to redeem it. Secondly, having a recipe is not enough. Unless you stay in one place for a long time, otherwise, the only way is to install a special training room on the starship. Current stage. Zian didn't think about it. But when everyone reaches the cruiser level, Zian will still consider configuring an additional training room on the Brilliance and the girls' starships to provide them with training. There are enough formulas and natural resources. So the speed of evolution. It will be very fast. However, it is also expensive. About 20 minutes later. Zhou Feiming has tripled his weight at this time. Then I persisted for more than 10 minutes, and finally couldn't hold on any longer. Suddenly he collapsed weakly. The intelligence system in the training room immediately detected Zhou Feiming's current state. Change gravity into microgravity state for the first time. Microgravity state. It can make a dropped barbell weighing 1,000 kilograms very light. If it hits a person, it will not cause any damage. It's like a cardboard box falling on you. Otherwise, the 1,000-kilogram barbell would fall down under 3 times the gravity. Not to mention smashing Zhou Feiming to death, that would be impossible. A warrior-level physique is definitely not a joke. But it can also cause injuries. If your physique is relatively ordinary, even serious injury is not impossible. Zhou Feiming's training here is over. Chongting immediately began to rate Zhou Feiming's performance. This score must be reviewed by the intelligent optical computer. No matter it is too low or too high, the review will not pass. And this also absolutely prevents teachers and instructors from practicing favoritism or engaging in personal grudges. The reason why the intelligent optical computer does not directly score is because each teacher's teaching method is different. Or, intelligence can only play an auxiliary role and cannot determine the way humans think. 11 points. Chongting read out Zhou Feiming's score. Zhou Feiming's expression suddenly changed when he heard his score. 115, he was originally full of confidence. I thought that even if I failed, I would at least get 40 or 50 points. The result is now 11 points? Hashtag F#. Next, 10 people in a row, almost all of them are this score. There is a cruiser captain who only has 4 points. Ridiculously low. Zhou Feiming suddenly felt better. It's not that I'm too talented. It's that the scores are so hard to get. This is comfortable. Finally. It's Zian's turn. This kind of practice. Tell the truth. Zian has never tried it. Because he doesn't need to use this cultivation method at all. I just stepped into the training room. Suddenly, I felt as if my body had weighed several hundred pounds. Double gravity is definitely not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. But over the years, Zian didn't dare to say anything else. But this physical quality. He himself doesn't even know how far the front has reached. Zian, when fighting at the master level. You can tear apart the War Master level and instantly kill the War King level. Now he is already a warrior level warrior. I dare not say that I can kill a warrior at the level of the King of War instantly, but a warrior at the level of the War King is definitely not enough in front of him. P.S. The battleship is the War Emperor, the deep space ship is the War Emperor, and the Star Destroyer is the God of War. There was a mistake in the previous article regarding the strength of the Star Destroyer captain. So, double gravity. Over the years, the body has been tempered by the uninterrupted use of heavenly materials and earthly treasures. I just felt a little discomfort, and then nothing happened. Walk over. First, I tried a barbell weighing 1,000 kilograms. Zian blinked. Put it down immediately. This time, I walked directly to the 2,000 kilogram barbell and gave it a try. Winked again. Keep letting it go. At last, when he came to the 3,000 kilogram barbell, he gave it a try and nodded with satisfaction. With double gravity and 3,000 kilograms of weight, Zian felt the pressure. But, far more than that. Amid the stunned gazes outside, Zian easily lifted the barbell on his shoulders and shouted, "Triple move." Suddenly, the stronger gravity made Zian feel like he was carrying a huge mountain. The weight of 3,000 kilograms plus 3 times the gravity was really a bit difficult for him. After doing a squat, Zian shouted without hesitation, 4 times gravity. Although it is a bit difficult. But it's just hard work. He has not reached his limit. Cultivation, practice, cultivation is the limit of the human body. If you can't reach your limit, why bother cultivating? Really? 4 times the gravity, this really made Zian feel enough pressure. The terrifying weight made Zian feel the unimaginable terrifying weight every time he did a squat. But, in fact, there is still history. The so-called spare power. That is, he can insist on doing squats. Think no more. One after another, I started doing squats. But I don't know this. Outside Zhou Feiming, Lu Nini, and others, his mouth was already open, dumbfounded. Even Changting, who was always expressionless. At this moment, his eyes suddenly opened wide. Watching this scene in disbelief. 3,000 kilograms in weight. 4 times the gravity. To know. Under normal gravity, a warrior-level warrior. It can only withstand a weight of 1,000 kilograms. 3.9 This is the most common phenomenon. Even those with relatively strong physical fitness are at the War Master level. It's probably around 1,500 kilograms at most. But what about Zian? 3,000 kilograms, 4 times the gravity. 3,000 kilograms plus 4 times gravity is definitely not such a simple addition. Gravity increases more than just the weight of the barbell. Even your hair is heavier than normal. Then there are your internal organs, your skin, muscles, bones, and even your cells. The pressure you bear is even more terrifying. If you don't have a strong enough physique, you will definitely not be able to withstand 4 times the gravity. Let's put it this way. This weight, this is already the amount of daily training required by a warrior-level warrior. FFLX. That is to say, this Zian. His physical fitness, his physical strength. Equivalent to a warrior king level? Changting stared at this scene blankly. Never expected it. In my class, a first-tier destroyer captain with the lowest level, it turns out. It will bring you such a huge surprise, sweat. A large area of the ground under Su Zian's feet has been soaked. But Su Zian continued to do squats. Although the veins are bursting and the sweat is pouring down. But Su Zian still did squats calmly. Him at this time. It seems to have turned into a machine. Every action is done mechanically. Outside. Everyone was already at a loss. Even Changting. At this moment, they were all looking blankly. You asked him why he was so dumb? Very simple. Su Zian, I have been carrying a 3,000 kilogram barbell and doing squats for a full 2 hours under 4 times the gravity. 2 whole hours. Do it for 2 hours in this environment. Even a battleship captain and a warrior of the emperor level will not be able to withstand it. Exactly. Su Zian actually persisted like this. Not a single sound was made the whole time. #7112. I don't feel tired or stressed. Not even the expression on his face changed. His mental perseverance is rare in the world. In fact, to anyone, after countless personal battles of life and death, or collapse, or the mental perseverance will become unimaginable to ordinary people. Yes. Undeniable. This training method is indeed quite terrifying. But no matter how tired or scary it is, can a systematic combat simulation be tiring and scary? The system is in combat simulation. That was a real fight with the Inhumans and insects with real swords and guns. Every time a knife is struck on one's body, it is real pain. Even if you are not careful, you may be captured alive by the enemy. Then wait for him. Just being mercilessly tortured. A living massacre, no matter how cautious Su Zian is. The battles over the years have been simulated. He was also tortured and killed thousands of times. Number of deaths. There are countless more. In a combat simulation, only in the later stages will death be reduced or even eliminated. But in the early stage of each battle simulation, due to different battle scenes and different opponents, death is inevitable. It is common for people to have their arms and legs broken off. Su Zian really couldn't remember how many times he died. After all, a combat simulation lasts a year. Sometimes, there will be several battles a day. Even if, on average, there is only one battle per day in a battle simulation for a year. In reality, thousands of simulations have been carried out over the past few years, and almost thousands of combat simulations have been carried out. That's thousands of years. Even 1,000 or 2,000 years. 1 or 2,000 years. It only counts as one death in 3 days. How many days does that take? In the face of such a number of deaths. Su Zian's spirit and psychology, he has long been tyrannical and determined to a level that is unimaginable to normal people. This doesn't even count the number of deaths in Star Wars simulations. And in the battle simulation, every time you fight, you want to win. Just kill all the enemies. Even if you are exhausted, even if you bite with your teeth or pinch with your hands. You also have to kill the enemy, otherwise you will be the one who dies. The fatigue of this kind of training is nothing to Su Zian. He didn't even feel much physical fatigue, just know that just do the squats again and again. But no matter how tough your mental strength is, you can't withstand the physical limit. Finally, at the 3rd hour and 55 minutes, about to reach the 4th hour, Su Zian suddenly shook his hand and the bell suddenly fell down. The intelligence system immediately adjusted the gravity system, and the pressure that was pressing down on his body like a mountain disappeared instantly, and Su Zian felt as if he was light and airy. The barbell also fell to the ground lightly. People outside. Also at this moment, he exhaled suddenly and heavily. It's over. It's finally over. Otherwise, we really have to wonder if Su Zian is a robot. This is really outrageous. But even so, it's also scalp-numbing. At least, Zhou Feiming was already at a loss. He wanted to know a question. Is he the cruiser captain, or Su Zian? Even if Su Zian is the cruiser captain, can you really be so awesome? But think about it briefly. It's not impossible. After all, in this world, there are always people who are physically different from ordinary people. But Star Wars, personal battles, etc. It's definitely worse. Think about it this way. Zhou Feiming felt much better immediately. At this time, Su Zian also happened to come out of the training room. At the same time, Changting also gave his score. In fact, this score for Su Zian, he thought about it a lot. Finally, gave Su Zian a score of 62 points, exceeding the passing line. Actually, tell the truth. With Su Zian's performance, he could only get a score of 62. It can only show that the requirements of the training camp are really too outrageous and too high, and this score was approved by the intelligent optical computer. Obviously, the intelligent optical brain also adheres to any attitude towards this score. Instead of being discouraged, Su Zian became more motivated. Because it can be seen from here that the upper limit of the training camp is very high. And the upper limit of the training camp is high, which means the more space you can have to help yourself grow and progress. This is a good thing. If you just give yourself a score of 90% or 100% from the beginning, Su Zina will be disappointed instead, because my current performance, able to obtain such a high score, can only mean one thing. The improvement that a training camp can bring to oneself is minimal. Now it's just a passing score, which just shows that with the continuous training in the training camp, your scores will get higher and higher. It also means your own growth rate will become faster and faster. Absolutely a good thing. Congratulations. TSK, that's awesome, Su Zian. Awesome. So awesome. I'm a war king in there, and I can only carry 1,000 kilograms, double the gravity, for half an hour, you. That's awesome. You passed the first time. If you pass the next 2 subjects at once, doesn't it mean that you can get the 2-star treatment and enter the 10-person class in just 1 month? Su Zian, please add me as a friend. I have a younger sister who is so beautiful. The students gathered around and expressed their shock and exclamation. Su Zian smiled and responded. But, as one of the classmates said, 677, Su Zian also passed the last 2 subjects in one go. Don't talk about other students. Even Changting thought it was unlikely. If Su Zian can really do it, his talent is simply unimaginable. Because the talent Su Zian has shown now is already at the level of genius. Although the cultivation speed has not been seen yet. But this way of cultivation, how could it be so slow? The speed of cultivation is an absolute genius. Are Star Wars and individual wars both at the genius level? The possibility is too low. If that were the case, it is no exaggeration to call Su Zian a top genius. With Su Zian as a gem in front of me, the performance of the remaining students did not seem so impressive. They also only received a very low score. The training and evaluation is over. Changting's expressionless and indifferent face unexpectedly showed a rare smile. His eyes swept across the crowd, and finally Changting's eyes were fixed on Su Zian's face for a few seconds, then he nodded and said, "Your performance is not bad." Among them, Su Zian's performance was the most outstanding. Today's training evaluation ends here. At 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, we will conduct a battle assessment. Su Zian, I hope you can achieve the same outstanding performance in the next 2 evaluations. Strive to be the first student to pass the fastest and get the 2-star treatment in this training camp, alright. That's it for today, disband. Go back and digest the absorbed gas of heaven, materials, and earth treasures. Absorb it into your bioenergy to increase your energy faster. Changting finished. Then he turned and left. Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.